Hello, it's Pete here, and today we are talking about spring and Easter. But more importantly, we're talking about Sizzix and how you can use just a few products to create all of these wonderful projects. So as I just explained, we're using a very limited color palette, and these are the colors I've chosen. So 4 of them come from our standard card pack. I'll show you that in a second. And the ivory comes from a different one, but there are so many different card packs with Sizzix, and we'll get to that in a second. Also, my ever-present framelit circles. This is a set which you're always going to have in your stash. You're never going to get tired of this. You're going to use it all the time. This is my circles. I'm using the fabulous Bold Florals. Now, this is a wonderful set, very clean, very fresh, very contemporary. Now, I'm also using my scoring board and trimmer. We're going to see that in a second. And of course, my Big Shot machine. And that's it. So the variety of things that you saw earlier were all made using just those few elements. And that's what we talk about value for money, because die cutting you can create such a wonderful range of projects as well. There's so much versatility. It's pretty much endless. It's all about your imagination. So we were talking about the paper pack. Now, this is our standard paper pack. Look at that. You're getting 20 different colors. There are 4 of each. It's a lovely weight. You've got that lovely sort of almost like a linen pattern there as well. So it's a lovely, lovely texture. And you can see the colors which I chose from this set. Now, as well as that, here's another set. This is what we call a muted set. So this kind of like fills in the gaps from this. This is brighter, but together, wow, they're absolutely incredible. So that's where I got my colors from. And these are just 2 sets. Now we have an eclectic set, we've got a botanical set, we've got a festive set, we've got a neutral set. It's pretty much endless. But the good thing is that they're all the same size, they all have that texture, and they're all the same weight. So they work perfectly together. Let's get our scoring board and trimmer. Now, for those of you who have never seen this tool before, this won Tool of the Year at the prestigious Creative World Show in Frankfurt. And that's like the craft Oscar, if you will. We were up against some top companies, but this one won, and we're very proud. Why is it Tool of the Year? Well, you're going to have to go to the Sizzix Hub, the scoring board and trimmer hub on the Sizzix website, I should say, and it will tell you all about this tool. There will be tips and tricks. It will show you how to get the best out of it. Now, this creates envelopes, it creates bags, boxes, it creates obviously card. Then we've got tags, we've got bunting, but these rosettes, you're probably wondering where the rosettes come from. It's all done with this tool, so you can vary the sizes. It's one of those that whatever size you want, you can get with this. Now, let's talk about how to make a rosette, first of all. Now, scoring, we have this wonderful scoring tool which sits underneath. It's got its own little divot there where it fits in. And then this is the scoring board. Now, if I was going to make a rosette, sometimes what people will do is cut a thin strip of card and then crease it. I tend to use a whole sheet and then trim it down to size. It's much easier. Also, what I'll do, let's cut this to, say, 29 centimeters. So I'm lining it up, and then let's move this along just slightly and trim that off the edge. Now, you see this little strip here? You're looking at the fold and form tool and probably wondering, why does it have that gap there, Pete? Well, what that is for if you want to take pieces of card like that and you want to curl them, or even the petals of large flowers, you can do that using this wonderful tool. So it's not just a scoring tool, it's all for making lovely paper curls like that. Now, that's the cutting. Now I'm putting it into scoring mode. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it every centimeter. And I want you to watch what happens. Because as I come down like this, you see the paper starts to curl. That's almost inevitable. There's nothing really. The only thing that you can do to stop that from happening is make sure this is longer and you anchor it underneath there. But I'm kind of used to it, so I just crack on and I just move my fingers, but I keep it anchored in place with my hands. So I'm going to go all the way, almost to the end, not quite, because obviously this is longer than the scoring board. So by the time I get there, all I do is flip it round and start at the other end. So 1 centimeter every time. Now, if you're watching this in the US and you're thinking, well, that's all well and good, but I actually work in imperial measurements. Of course, with your scoring board and trimmer, this slides out. So now those are 1/8 of an inch. I take this lovely measuring tool, flip it over, and we're now in inches, ready to go. Really is that simple. Let's put it back in centimeters. So even if you were, if you're in Europe and you work in centimeters all the time, you may have a favorite US designer who work in inches. Well, you can just flip that over and work in inches yourself. Also, if you have 12 by 12 paper, 8 by 8 paper, 6 by 6, pop it into inches, you can get a crease perfectly down the center. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to put this, no, I'm going to cut this now because I want this 10 centimeters wide. That's the width of my rosette. So let's pop that there. Then I'll trim. So that's 10 centimeters, but I want to cut that in half because when we're making a rosette, we work with 2 pieces. So that's going to build my rosette. That's the width of it right there. Now, what I do with these is I concertina fold back and forth, back and forth. If you want to use this to make the crease deeper, by all means do. But what you will end up with are 2 of these, and that is your rosette. Now, if we look at, let's have a look at this in an overhead shot. If we look at the different sizes, some of these are half rosettes. Some of these in the frame are quarter rosettes. And the way that I built them up like that was by creating little boxes using this tool to get the depth. So let's pop that back there a second. And I'll take these now. If I take my scoring board out, I'm going to take these. And the reason I do it at odd angles is because they fit together perfectly like that. So that's why I did it at 29, not 28. If I did it at 28, then they kind of wouldn't fit together. So I'll take my glue gun, apply glue down here like so. So that's 1. Just hold it together for a second and it's ready to go. What I want to do now is the other edge. So just a little bit of hot glue. Now you can use PVA, you can use double-sided tape, whatever you prefer. It doesn't really matter. I'm using glue, hot glue, because, well, it's a bit quicker. And there we are. That's your rosette. Now, see what happens. You start folding it in from that end, like so, gathering it towards the center. And that's it right there. But to make sure that holds in place, what I've done is I've used my framelit circles. I've cut a large one and I've cut a smaller one. Now, on my large one, I'm going to take my glue gun one more time and just apply some lovely hot glue to that. So that's going to stay hot. And then I'll take my rosette and start working that in from the center. And then when it's there, let's just hold that in place. You can move this around. It can be tighter in some parts and make sure they're equally spaced. But the hot glue is going to do its job. And there we have it. Then lastly, I'll take my other one, like so. Place that there. And that's your rosette ready to go. Now, whether you want to put that on a card or whether you want to put it in a frame, it's entirely up to you. But you can see you can vary the size. So the biggest one you could do, if it was A4, you could do 10.5 centimeters wide. Well, actually, 21 centimeters wide, 2 10.5s. But you can see you can get really small as well. If you wanted it slightly chunkier, why not make your creases at 1.5 or 2 even, so you get bigger, bolder rosettes. But it's just a really cool way of building up, of creating backgrounds for. Now you can make one of those lovely, you know, like kind of like on a wall with a phrase and stuff like that. But that little box frame, that really was a labor of love. And there's my daughter in the center there. So that's our paper rosettes, and we did talk about using half a rosette, didn't we? And that's what I've done here on this lovely Easter bonnet. So if you love, kids love making rosettes. My daughter is fascinated by the process. So if you were making an Easter bonnet with your child, I know it's a big thing these days, and you want to decorate it with some flowers, as I have done here, then that's the way to go. But now I want to talk about circles. We've done a lot of videos down the years where we've used circles to make some really kind of strange, crazy things. And these bunnies, you see these bunnies here? So whether you were doing that for a party, it doesn't have to be Easter. It doesn't have to be, it could be a spring birthday. And when I say this is all about Easter, you could apply all of this for a festive make, for a Halloween make, you know, a wedding or a baby shower. All those wonderful occasions that we have down the year. But I'm going to show you how to make these bunnies just using circles. And I've got my trusty Big Shot machine here. And once you've got a machine like this, you know, it's pretty endless because you're not just making a single project. You can use it to make things in batches. So all of these lovely bunnies that we've done, because it's a simple shape, this is that I can cut through 2 layers at a time if I want. So there you go. There's my first 2 circles, done and dusted. Then next, I've got a single pink circle. So let's run that one through. And then finally, now this one's quite cool. Talking about cutting through 2 layers, I folded a piece of card in half, and I'm going to place my die not just in the center, but just off the edge, so the blade kind of goes outside. And this is where the card is folded as well. So that's where I want it, and I'm going to take some Sizzix Maker's Tape. This has been an absolute godsend for me, this Maker's Tape. It allows you to get perfect registration, but it doesn't leave any kind of residue on your cardstock, which is quite important. So that's going to hold that there. I know it's not going to slip. Then we'll pop that in and wind it through. Now, you can see here what we've done. We peel away that tape, and you can see how that folds out like that. So that's a nice little technique. So let's just pop my machine to one side for a second. Now, how am I going to make my bunny out of this? Well, obviously, first thing I need is a pair of scissors. Now I'm going to take the scissors from my paper sculpting kit. Wonderful little scissors, these, really cool. We'll talk about the paper sculpting kit in a second. I'm just cutting across there, like so. Now, I'll take my glue gun again for speed more than anything. I'll put a little bit of glue on there and pop that in place like that. Then I take the other one, which mirrors the first one, pop a little bit of glue, and again. So now that is the body of the bunny. Then next up, I'm going to do the head, and that kind of goes there. Then the tail, and that's going to go just inside the body like that. So there's my bunny. It's on its way, but we have to do the ears. Now, this is a great little trick. So if I take my machine and place my die, let's put it through from the other way so you can see that better. So I'm going to place my die like that, back over the original circle. That's where I want it. So this is going to form the ears. It's going to cut into that circle like so. So there's one ear, and then I'll put it through the other way, and there's ear number 2. So we have it. So, hey, say Wimbledon was coming up. You wanted to make a tennis ball. There you go. How's that? Huh. Who'd have thought it? Right. So that is really it. That is really it for the machine just for now. Let's take those 2 ears, my hot glue gun, and just one at a time. Actually, because I've got the glue on the end there, I can transfer some of that to the other ear. Place one there, like so, and 2, and that is my little bunny all done. And you can see we've added a bow, we've added the name of the recipient. You know, this it could even be on the top of a box or something like that as part of a gift. There are lots and lots of different ways that you can use framelits to get some really cool techniques. This is just one, but they're definitely worth exploring. And when I said they will be in your stash forever, I wasn't kidding. So it wouldn't be spring without flowers. I know the crocuses are on their way out, the tulips are coming in, the daffodils are everywhere. I do live in Wales. But you'll notice all of these projects here, they do contain a floral element, which helps tie them together. From the flowers on there, obviously there's some little flowers there as well. We've got these gorgeous cards and of course our Easter bonnet. And let us not forget our basket. Where did we put a basket? Up here. There we are. So that basket has flowers all the way around the edge. We talked about stash earlier. We talked about how having circles in your collection is a must. Everybody has at least one flower set. So dig into your stash, see what works for you. But this one is one of my personal favorites. It's called Fabulous Bold Florals. It's got all these lovely flowers. And this is some artwork to show the kind of thing that you can do with these. There's also a little bee and a little ladybug as well. So there's a lot of variety in there, whether you're creating a wreath like that or you're just using 1 or 2 on the front of a card. But what I want to do today is show you how to get dimension with your die cuts. And this is a real staple since this launch. This is a paper sculpting kit, and it's something that I can't do with it. It contains 2 mats. There's a molding pad and a detail molding pad, which is very important. We also have some lovely tweezers, which you can see, oh, mine are over here. So, and they're those tweezers which they kind of spring back together. So if you need to hold something, if you're painting it or doing anything with it, it's absolutely great because it holds it for you. And the straight edge, which I adore. The scissors I mentioned earlier, really cool piece of scissors. Now, when you're talking about kits like this, you know, and there's lots of different elements, the scissors are not always the best part of it, but these are really good. I really love these scissors. And of course, the Sizzix branded. Now, there are 3 tools and they have different size stylus. 1, 2, 3, 4 stylus. This one has a quilling end on it. So you slide your paper down there, you roll it up. That's for quilling. And the other one kind of has a spike on it, but it's a curved spike. And we'll talk about that and why that is so important in a second. But the basic function is to give your paper cuts, or your die cuts, paper die cuts rather, some dimension. I'm going to start off with the largest. And I'm going quite gentle initially, because if you go into this with too much pressure, you don't give the fibers in the card time to stretch, and you will get lots of creases, unsightly creases, which quite frankly we don't need. So I'm cupping this. This is what we call cupping. Then when that's done, if I want to come in and crease around the edge a little bit deeper with a smaller stylus, that's fine. That's fine, but I'm going to turn it back over now. And this stylus, again, I'm working in the center. So I'm going the opposite side now because I want to bring this. Now I'm starting to apply the pressure. So that has real depth. And if I do the flower center, again, start off with the largest one. Okay, so let's cup that. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to go the opposite way. But I'm really going to put some pressure in there. So now, when we've got this here, bit of glue, and that's there. Now, I want you to contrast that with, say, for example, a flat one. So if I take this and this, that's nice. That's absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. But to give it that extra dimension, that extra depth, and let light and shadow do its thing. And you'll see that particularly on this lovely Easter basket. Having that depth and dimension makes all the difference. Now, I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to work with this. This is my detail mat. And this is great for leaves and the like. So you can see I'm going around the edge of these leaves like so. So I just want to get, so they're taking on, it's almost like a bowl, so they're taking on that dimension. And then when I flip that over, I'm going to use this, remember this curved spike that I described earlier? I'm going to take that and I'm going to bring it across the leaf like that. So it creates that central vein. Like that, and then I can just pinch the edges if I want to give me some extra dimension. But it's absolutely gorgeous, the effect that you get with that. And again, you know, when you add that onto the front of a card, that depth, that dimension, the way that you can curve this line without it tearing into your paper, and that's why the spike is curved. So we can do that with all of our flowers. If I take this little guy here, and again, we'll cup it from the back, we'll turn it over, and now this time with the smallest one, I'm just pushing into the center. Look at that, it makes such a difference, and that can even sit in the center of one of our flowers. But let me bring in a couple of examples using that. So this one, for example, you can see the depth in there, you can see light and shadow doing its thing. Also, remember that one where we created those gorgeous leaves and the depth in that flower? It really makes a difference. The difference between that and something which is flat is like night and day. So it's a great little kit, the paper sculpting kit, and it's absolutely essential if you have any florals whatsoever in your stash. So there we have it, that's it. That's spring and Easter, but don't forget, it could be any time of year. The point I'm trying to make, I think, is if you have something like the scoring board and trimmer and your Big Shot machine, you don't need all the dies in the world to create great results and to create such a diverse array of different projects, whether it be, because sometimes we tend to think paper crafting is cards and scrapbooking, but it is so much more than that. I'm not going to try on the bonnet. I know you're all dying to see me wearing it. I'm not a good bonnet wearer. But yeah, it could be any time of year. And I also forgot to call out the unsung heroes, which are alphabets as well. So I'm sure many of you have alphabet dies in your stash. Sizzix, we have so many different ones, so go and see which one's right for you. But I'm sure I'll be back to show you again the scoring board and trimmer, the award-winning scoring board and trimmer, and of course our evergreen award-winning Big Shot machine. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that's Easter all wrapped up in a neat little bow for you. I'll see you again soon.